Hey guys, welcome back to Community Starcraft 2. I'm your host Magnet, and today we're going to be going over some standard PvT openers. One of them is actually really standard, the other one's a little bit not so standard, but still pretty strong and pretty safe for most of you guys out there. We're going to be talking about the Stalker Mothership Core Nexus opener, which is basically one Stalker, one Mothership Core, and a Nexus immediately afterward. The other one's going to be a little bit more unconventional, but it'll be a little more fun, a little bit more tricky. I figured we mix one of those in, considering there's not a whole lot of deviation that you can have in this matchup as far as openers. It's either you get a Nexus without harassing, or you get a Nexus with harassing. So it's pretty straightforward. So we'll go ahead and jump into the game, and we'll get into this right away. So as we can see, we're just in a custom game. I'm going to go against a very easy Terran, just so we can focus on running our build. Just want to make sure we are recording properly, so I'm not being an idiot and not recording during the whole time while I'm talking and wasting my life talking to myself. So yeah, you can practice this anytime and compare your own timings against me. One thing that should be a little bit careful about these builds is that Protoss builds are a little bit more intricate than the other races in the early game. There's a little bit more fine-tuning to be done to those builds, considering Protoss relies a little bit more on game knowledge and or tricks than the other races. So depends on how you look at it, I guess. So again, don't miss any workers as we're starting up here. Run that all the way to 9. This is really standard. We're going to make a pylon on 9. You're going to do this in basically every build that you run as Protoss. I'm going to do this 8 bajillion times if you like playing Protoss anyway. Once you get 100 minerals, just drop a pylon, go ahead and send it back. In this particular build, we're actually going to go ahead and scout on 10. So I'm going to pull, this is my 10th worker in queue. I'm just going to send him over to the enemy base so that I don't have to pull one of my guys off in order to scout. Once the pylon's done, go ahead and chrono boost your Nexus. Hotkey your scout so you can get back and forth, make sure they're working. And once the first chrono boost wears off, you're going to go ahead and put a second chrono boost down. Like so. Now you're going to make a gateway on 14 supply. Right now we're on 13. I'm just going to use the Nexus to rally out my 13th probe so that I can get it down as soon as possible, again without interrupting mining. So there we go. So our scout's going to be coming in here. We're not going to do very much. I'll cover that in the replay really quick. On 16 supply, you're going to be taking double gas. You can see I have one of mine already rallied to one of the geysers so that he can do that as soon as he gets there. There we go. Scout is in there having fun, yay. And then on 17 you're going to make another pylon. Again, I did rally him out. You can do that if you want to. And 18 is going to be your Cybernetics Core. One fine detail here is when these geysers finish up, only mine with 2 from each side. I'll explain that in the replay. Once your core finishes up, go ahead and, once your gateway finishes up, go ahead and start your core and chrono boost your Nexus. Go ahead and send this guy home since he's not doing anything. He'd ideally still be scouting, but there's not really much to scout against a very easy eye. Just kind of sit there and do nothing. Go ahead and chrono boost your Nexus again once it wears off. So we're at about 20 supply. At 21, you're going to make another pylon. So there we go. Scout's coming back. Core is finishing up. Once that finishes up, go ahead and start a Stalker. And start Warp Gate as soon as you've got that. And chrono boost your Stalker out. 25 supply is going to be when you're looking to start your Mothership Core. You can see your gas should line up to about when this probe finishes. You should be able to start your Mothership Core. And when she's about to start, send a probe down to your natural so you can fight off any SCVs that might be trying to block you with buildings or whatever down there. If you see a scout in your base, as far as an SCV scout, you can go ahead and follow him with your worker just to assure that he doesn't start any buildings down here, because we didn't go with a zealot in this build. That's going to be a little bit hard to deal with building blocks if that happens. And we'll talk about that more in the replay. So Mothership Core is out. Go ahead and fill up your geysers all the way up to 3. Send your Mothership Core down. With this worker, you can send him back and have him build a robo as soon as he gets back there. He should be at about 100 gas. We'll resume probes. And then once we have the money, we're going to go ahead and chrono boost out another Stalker. I do too have enough minerals. Knock it off. Once this probe finishes, you're going to be about 31 supply. That's when you're going to want to think about putting another pylon down. Put it somewhere near your natural nexus so that you can warp in down there in case you get attacked. You do want to hotkey this second one. And this should line up so you have just enough money to start your second Stalker as soon as it gets there. Pylon is about to finish up, which means that we're going to be supply off for just a second, but it's okay. Once that Stalker's in progress, go ahead and drop a second gateway. Get an observer out as soon as you can. Send it to his base. And once your Nexus finishes up, you do want to transfer some workers down, so go ahead and just pull a handful and send them down. Okay, and this is pretty much the opener. What we have right now is we have Warp Gate is now done. We have a Mothership core that has enough energy for a Nexus cannon. We're going to put a second observer out as well, just for the information. Okay, cool. So we're going to go over this in the replay and talk about how this is supposed to work and what little adjustments you can make if you need to. Now I apologize, we might get the annoying glitch where, yeah, we see this stupid input limit reached. Just comes up over and over. It's a glitch in Battle.net right now. We have to wait for them to patch it. I'm going to wait to start the replay in hopes that this doesn't come up anymore because it's really annoying to try and talk about the game when this is pinging me every 5 seconds. Did it stop? Nope. Spoke too soon. I think one more and then we're going to be able to go in. Is that the last one? Better be the last one. Alright, I'm going to start it. 3, 2, 1. Aww. Alright, I think that's the last one, so screw it. Getting sick of waiting. Okay, so, yeah, this is a really standard opener. It's quite safe. You can run it pretty much any circumstance against Terran. We're going to be going over all the different little things that I did in order to make this opener work, and the reason why it's a good opener. So again, like we talked about before, just pylon on 9 is your first task that you have to worry about, aside from just making workers. So just send this dude down to build the pylon. And again, I call him a dude, even though he's clearly mechanical. This 10 scout is going to be sent out early enough to the point where you are for sure going to get in his base unless he completely cuts workers in order to put a depot down to block you out. So that's why I like to send this 10th worker out. So he's going to go out and scout and figure out what's going on. And we'll keep going here. Going to chrono boost again as soon as your first one wears off, and that's typical for any build. As soon as your first pylon is done, chrono boost your Nexus right away. This one just puts 2 chrono boosts down in a row. Again, 14 gateway as soon as you have the money. Now our scout's going to be arriving, and the only thing that I would really change is I would consider taking just a little faster Nexus if your Terran opponent has not taken gas. If he has no buildings in here, or if he's proxying something, it feels weird, you can actually still run this and do pretty well because the units come out pretty fast and they're pretty strong. So this build is designed in a way that you don't need to adjust it too much if you see anything strange. 1 gas and 1 barracks by now, that's as normal as it gets, so don't worry at all if you see that. Again, double gas on 16, basically as soon as your 15th worker finishes up. Pylon on 17, and this is urgent to get it down as soon as you have the money on 17 because you will be supply blocked if you get it down any later. And then core as soon as the gateway is done. Only 2 in each gas, remember that. That's a little bit weird in this build. And the reasoning for that is that if the Terran scouts 2 gas, they might think, oh no, he's going to cheese me with some tech, and they might play a little more defensively. They might not get any information at all, which is the goal. Two geysers with 2 in each gas and a Stalker on the way, that tells the Terran nothing important. So this is a really good way to open up. In basically any league, if they try and scout you, they won't know left from right. It'll just look like anything ever. So once your core is down, go ahead and chrono boost your Nexus. We're going to chrono boost it twice once again, as soon as this one wears off. There we go. We're sending our scout home. You can keep him out on the map if you want more information, but for the time being, I'd say it's fine just to send him home. Again, 21 pylon to make sure we don't get supply blocked. I continue to make workers here. Don't skip any workers if you can help it, unless we're at the point where we're putting our Nexus down and we're saving money. I'm going to start a Stalker and gate and warp gate, that is. As soon as the core is done, chrono boost your Stalker because you want that out just in case he does have a Reaper on the way. 25 supply, that's when your gas is going to be hitting 100. That means your Mothership core should be on the way immediately after that. There she is. And again, as soon as the Mothership core started, send this guy down there to start fighting any workers that might come down. What a lot of Terrans will do that's really annoying is they'll build an engineering bay right here. Since it's cheap and since it builds really fast and has a lot of hit points, they'll use that in order to delay the Nexus. And you don't have a lot of units in order to get health off of that. So the more you can fight the worker that's down here, the better your Nexus timing will be. Let's go ahead and drop that Nexus as soon as you have 400 minerals on 27 supply. Mothership core is down. That means we need to fill up our geysers with 3 in each. So you'll notice I do that right now. And then this worker is going to put down a robo. You want that robo for sure so you can detect burrowed mines, so you can detect banshees, stuff like that. More importantly, so you can get scouting at a point in the game where it's really hard to get scouting on Terran without taking any risks. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and resume probes. Once we have the money, we're going to chrono boost out of Stalkers. We can see he will come up in just a second. Yep, there we go. And at this point, this is really important. This is kind of a tough part to not get supply blocked, but put a pylon down here somewhere near your natural so you can warp in forward in case you get attacked. It is a good idea to put it here on the high ground so that you can warp down here, as opposed to putting it right here so that they can still hit it while they're down here and potentially cancel warp ins, and that can get a little messy. So I like it on the little edge right next to your Nexus. Okay, once the first Stalker, or rather this is your second Stalker, once he's done, go ahead and put a third Stalker in and chrono boost him as well. You do want these units out as soon as possible, just so if he pushes across the map with a whole bunch of Marines or something, that you're prepared for it. We were supply blocked for just a second because of the pylon, but we're still good. Once this Stalker is producing, and you have the money, go ahead and put down another gateway. This should be basically as your robo is finishing. If you're in a terrible position and you have a lot of money and you forgot to put this gateway down and you're being attacked, you can chrono boost out an Immortal, but it is best just to put an Observer out if he's not doing anything weird. Now you do want 2 Observers at this point because you want an Observer ideally to scout his base and eventually keep in front of his natural so you know when he's coming. And you do want an Observer in front of your own natural to spot any pushes that might be coming. This is basically where the build ends. Once this warp gate is done, the game is basically in your hands. So here's the second Observer, and your Nexus is done. So right now we have, let's see, 28 workers, 3 Stalkers, a Mothership core that has plenty of energy for a Nexus cannon if we need to put that down. More importantly, your tech timing is going to be pretty nice with this build as well. So if you want to do really fast Colossus, you're going to have 200 gas in just a second, so you can do that. If you want to do something like, I guess replay just ended. If you want to do something like Storm, you can put a Twilight Council down and possibly a Forge right after. Or you can continue to warp in gateway units if you're not sure what he's doing and you want to stay safe. So this opener is really flexible, it's really standard, it should be able to hold off pretty much whatever they bring at you at that point. So yeah, I guess that covers the first one, so we'll go ahead and jump into the next one. And we're stuck on this screen. There we go. We're going to get that annoying glitch again because I'm trying to open a custom game, which for whatever reason this is when the glitch comes up. Now this opener is going to be a Stargate harassment opener, and I'm kind of torn about talking about it because it's not terribly standard, but it is something that you can mix in. PvT openers are really boring, to be honest. Like, they're all pretty much the same. You get a Nexus and you get a few gateway units out in your Mothership core. Like, that's every single PvT expand ever. If you do anything different, it's a risk that you could put yourself behind. This one is a little bit risky, but it's also a build that could put you way, way ahead if they don't react properly. So, I don't know. I thought I'd just throw it in there just for the sake of variety. And we'll go ahead and run this one. It should be fairly interesting. I don't really know what else to say. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and pick up a Terran. Set him to some not teal color. And this one's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be as safe and as flexible as the previous one, but once again, it's going to be something that's reasonably safe while also being pretty aggressive. So, like I said, this is just to switch it up a little bit. If you're having trouble with the first build, you can try this one out. And I don't know why my keyboard is not working. Hang on. Okay. Sometimes when you Alt-Tab, your keyboard doesn't work, so let me restart that game really quickly. Sorry. And I'd hate to have to start this all over, because I don't actually edit these videos. I just stream them and then throw it back up. Hey, no glitch! Woo! That was nice. Add a Terran. Okay, we know our keyboard's working. Anyway, so yeah, the basic gist of this build is getting out an Oracle, and then a second Oracle at home just to be safe from anything that's weird. You're going to kind of rely on these two Oracles throughout the game just to be annoying and to bother him. It's a little bit more multitasking centric and a little bit more tricky. And again, my keyboard's not working. I don't understand this. 1 second. There we go. So just like any other Protoss build, you're going to build your first pylon on 9. Nothing too terribly unusual there. You will have the Executor telling you don't have enough minerals for quite a while, and that's to be pretty normal because you want to make sure you get everything down as soon as humanly possible. If you waste time kind of screwing around missing probes or not spending your money, then your build isn't going to run quite as well. Okay, cool. So before we scout it on 10, we're going to scout a little bit later in this build. Hopefully we'll still be able to get in. Sometimes we won't, depending on the map and depending on what the Terran is doing. But we need that little bit of extra economy boost to assure we get everything out just a tad quicker. So in this build, I'm actually going to scout with my 12th worker. So right now the 11th is in queue, the 12th is, or the 11th is in production, the 12th is in queue. We're going to still make the gateway on 14, but this is going to be the guy we're going to send out to scout. Again, you want to be there as early as you can just to see if you can get inside his base and figure out what's going on. But in this one, we need to cut a little bit of a corner to assure that everything gets down as soon as we possibly can, with all the different things we're going to be doing at the same time. Okay, we have our worker out. We're going to be taking double gas on 15 just a little bit earlier than before. In this one, we won't have to do any of that funky 2 in each gas thing that we did before. You can see we can barely get the geysers up while also assuring that our next probe is being produced, so that's one little nuance of the build. Again, scouting doesn't matter too much, so we're just going to have him look around for a second and then come home. And we really need the extra income, so we're going to go ahead and chrono boost a worker out here. Hopefully not miss any, because that's bad. Once you have the money, once your gateway's done, go ahead and put down your core. And we had a little bit of a worker gap. You usually shouldn't get this in your own games, and we did in this one because we had those 3 or 4 seconds where my keyboard wasn't working at the beginning of the game, but the principle is still pretty much the same. And I'd hate to have to redo all this over and over just for one stupid little thing, so please bear with me. Okay, and this one's a little weird. This opener is going to basically show your opponent the Stargate and kind of be like, okay, what's up? Like, you know this is going on, but, I mean, your reactions are going to be beneficial to me. Don't start Warpgate, I'm sorry, that's a mistake. You're going to go ahead and start a Stalker, and you're going to start a Stargate as soon as you have that available. And then you're going to go ahead and start Warpgate. So we can see we're at just a little bit extra gas, but that's okay. So we do want a second Stalker, ideally. Now right here, you do want to build a pylon. We're at 25 supply. You may miss a worker for just a second, but it's just going to have to do. And it also is being affected just a little bit because of my keyboard. I'm going to go ahead and produce a sentry as well. Actually, Mothership Core is more stable, so we'll do that instead. Okay. So this should finish up basically as soon as you have 150 gas. And the Mothership Core is on the way again. So this looks really similar to our other build, except for we're taking a little bit later Nexus. We're taking it on about 4 supply later, and we're also having an Oracle come out as well. So the Mothership Core is done. We're going to go ahead and send her down. Our Nexus is on the way. Now we are going to stop probes for just a second, just so we can get our next Oracle out. And this Oracle is an option up to you. We're going to go ahead and drop our pylon, and we're going to go ahead and put down a second gateway as well. You can chrono boost these oracles out if you want. It just depends on what else is going on in the game, which we'll talk about in the replay a little bit more. Okay, so as we can see, we do have our pylon almost finishing up so we can restart probes, and there we go. I'm going to keep this oracle at home, like I said before, just in case we get attacked. We'll be able to hold it off, so we don't know a whole lot of what's going on. But we'll explain that here in just a second. Okay, this is pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and stop here, and we'll talk about this opener and what it's capable of. Warp gate is almost done. I mean, there's not really much else to say here. Like, you can transition however you want. You can put a robo down, you can put whatever else down. But we'll get into the replay, and we'll talk about the little nuances and why this build is effective at pretty much any level that you need to be effective at. We'll also talk about a couple of other things that I didn't do that are kind of hard to do. That you can do in your own games if you have the actions per minute to spare. We have to wait for this stupid glitch again. Man, this is a really rocky cast, but we are still getting the informations into your heads, so that's the point. Gonna wait a couple times for this to go away. Actually, I'll just load this up, and it'll be during the beginning of the game anyway, so oh well. Okay, so we're in the replay here, and again, like any other Protoss build, you're going to start this out on 9 supplies when your pylon is going to be. So we'll go ahead and wait for that. That's me chewing ice, by the way. Okay, we're going to send him down. He's going to build the pylon on 9. Send him back to work as soon as you can. And again, these timings are a little bit thrown off because my keyboard wasn't working at the beginning of the game. But they're pretty close to what you can expect in your own games. So again, we're on 11 supply. This is our 12th worker. This is one we want to scout with. So we're going to go ahead and send him over to the Terran base. I'll talk about an adjustment you can make here if you want to in this build, once you have the scouting information that we're going to see here in just a second. Again, 14 gateway. As soon as you have the minerals, go ahead and put it down and then send your worker back. 15 double gas. We're going to take it a little bit faster than we did last time, so grab the geyser here, grab the geyser here, send these guys back to work. We're going to get a pylon as soon as we can on 17, which you can see right there. Plop. Fill up your geysers all the way, 3 out of 3, and we will go from there. Now, this is the first little bit that I want to talk about an adjustment in this build. We can see that the Terran has 1 gas and a barracks, which is really normal. However, this is one of those builds where if they don't take gas at all and they just want to build a command center, you can send your worker down here and have him kind of sit behind the minerals and watch for a command center. And then if you see that, rather than expanding, you can add up to 4 gateways and just all in them with about 5 oracles. It's a really strong build. That's always an option. This is one of those options that you can just say, okay, Terran, I totally know how to beat what you're doing, and I'm just going to roll the dice and play a percentage play. I don't advocate that because it's not a good way to improve, but if you are, for example, playing with a friend that likes to do that build and you want to push them off it and say, no, that build should not be viable, you can always do that. Core, as soon as your warp gate is done, and this should be producing a probe, but it's not, only because, again, my keyboard was not working at the beginning of the game, so we're going to be just a few minerals short. So we'll go ahead and grab him as soon as we can and chrono boost our Nexus again. As far as this worker, if you want to do that all-in I was talking about, you're going to want to keep him out on the map so you can put a pylon down. Otherwise, just send him home. He doesn't matter too much. Okay, we're continuing workers here, waiting for our core to finish up. And again, the Stargate is going to be made really obvious. And this is okay. I'm going to cancel that warp gate. This is okay because if the Terran back at home scouts this right now and overreacts and puts a whole bunch of turrets up, all you did was really make 1 oracle. And the oracle is worth it in the sense that it's still going to get scouting information to see what he's doing. It's still going to keep him in his base. So that's part of the safety of this build, is that if they see the Stargate, they're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to go attack him, yeah, and not leave anything back at home, because if they do that, they lose all their workers. And therefore they lose all their income, and they really shouldn't be expected to win the game at that point. So that's why I'm okay with throwing the Stargate down in plain vision of a unit that could be scouting here, even before your Stalker is out. So yeah, Stalker is going to be on 22, which is what it looks like from the supplies here. And then the Stargate will be immediately afterwards as soon as you have the minerals. Bam. Now right here we're going to be coming up on just enough to start warp gate. You can see it just pop up right there as soon as you have the minerals and gas. This is really just get it down as soon as you can, and don't worry too much about things being late or whatever. We're going to start another worker here, and we're going to start a Mothership core after this pylon is done. So we can see we put the pylon down at 25. The resources are a little bit awkward, but it's built this way so you can get the Stargate down as soon as possible and get that Oracle over there as soon as possible. Mothership core, you can chrono boost this Mothership core if you really want to, but it is a good idea to save to save chrono for this Oracle, because you want that across the map as soon as possible. Now 31 supply, this is when you're going to stop workers, get your Nexus down so that you can get the second Oracle out without any interruptions, send your Mothership core forward so she can help out. But again, part of the safety of this build is that if they know the Oracle is coming, they might over-prepare with defenses, but the point is that they're going to be sitting in their base. They can't afford to leave their base if they know an Oracle harass is on the way. So it's one of those weird builds that works out where you're forcing them to stay there because of the circumstance, not because you just have too much stuff at home, right? So I just wanted to show this off just a little bit to kind of demonstrate that there are different options that you can use in order to kind of use your game information against them. Okay, so 34 supply, we did put a pylon down here, a second gateway is on the way, and a second Oracle. Let me talk about this a little bit. I know I was saying before that you can send the second Oracle forward to try and harass, but this Oracle, I chose to keep him home for a couple of reasons. Number one, if this were a real game and he didn't see my Stargate, the chances of him actually having a turret up right now are pretty low. So my Oracle should do some damage, but the other thing that's kind of a risk is that if he doesn't know what's going on, he might just send units out and attack me, and I want to have something back at home to help hold this off. Otherwise, if they saw the Stargate, you could split up your Oracles, send the second one here and try to harass his second base that he might have up, and if he doesn't, then that's great, because that means that your Nexus is ahead of his and you're still safe from everything. So, now as far as transitions from what you can do from here, like I was mentioning before in the replay, you can do a whole bunch of different things. You can throw down a robo. You can keep producing off of your Stargate if your Oracle scouts nothing too threatening. The Phoenix are going to be really good throughout the game in order to spot and kill drops if you want to. But frankly, the more stable opener from that point is going to be the robo. And one thing I also neglected to mention is that another good reason to keep your Oracle home is that if they have mines coming out, that's your only form of detection, and you don't want to have to pull this guy all the way across the map in order to detect so you can actually kill mines. So yeah, that's another big point that I wanted to make. So just to summarize this one, the reason you'd open like this with the Stargate right in their face, assuming they could see it, is just to say, hey, you have to react to this and you can't leave your base. And there is also a chance, and this is why I didn't harass in this game, but there's also a chance that this one Oracle could come in here and kill 6 or 7 SCVs and put you way ahead. So yeah, I hope that you guys understood all that. It is kind of a little bit of overwash of information, so if you have any questions or anything, feel free to let me know down in the comments, and if we get a whole bunch of questions about the same thing, then I will definitely address it in another video. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. I did recently join a gaming team down at the bottom right, akagamingteam.com. That is my team's website. I also do stream at twitch.tv/magnetsc2. And of course, thanks to our sponsors, SC2 Replay Stats, Allstate, and Propel Zero, for helping us make this all possible. And yeah, stay tuned for more builder openers and more fun stuff as we progress further into the tutorials. Thanks. See you later.